My name is Rachel. Welcome to Good Morning Science. On today's show, we're going to be talking about a big change happening on Earth. Earth's climate has been changing for a while now, but recently we began to ask the question, is human activity affecting climate change? The scientists here at Good Morning Science believe so. To begin, we have Logan Hawks, our climate scientist.
Why, hello, Rachel. I am thrilled to be on the show today to let our fellow Americans know about climate change.
We're thrilled to have you too. Now, what's going on with Earth's climate?
The Earth's climate has been changing for hundreds of millions of years, as you may know. Over the past few years, though, a sudden change in climate can be noticed throughout all areas of the world. The article, World of Change, Global Temperatures, states that from the Industrial Revolution, the average global temperature has changed by about 1.4 degrees Fahrenheit. Since 1880, two-thirds of that warming, in fact, occurred since 1975, at a rate of roughly 0.15 to 0.20 degrees Celsius. This change in climate is no mere coincidence, may I add you. It is because of us humans. Did you know that, Rachel?
I didn't.
Well, now you do. Carbon emissions, be it from cars or power plants, increase the amount of heat trapped within the Earth's atmosphere because it is a greenhouse gas. Although large amounts of carbon being released has happened before, over 50 million years ago, in fact, in the Eocene era. In fact, because of this, Antarctica could have plants and even animals living on it, and this may happen again because of us. Climate change, although, does not only mean that some areas of the world are heating. Cape Cod, since 2008, has been experiencing what is called a cold trend, where the area has colder temperatures compared to the average climate.
Now, what's the reason for this cold trend?
Well, Rachel, I'm about to tell you. The reason for this is when the Arctic areas are heated, cold winds are sent from an area out into the ocean. This then leads to pockets of the cold air, creating what is called a polar vortex. This is how large blizzards and snowstorms are formed when the atmosphere, in reality, is heating. Now, don't you hate those blizzards on Cape Cod, Rachel?
I really do.
Well, this could be fixed if we just stopped heating up the world with our terrible behaviors. Just because some areas of the world are still receiving snow does not mean climate change is a hoax, as some people would believe. Another area that has been affected by human activity is the Arctic Peninsula. Large ice shelves have been collapsing from the shoreline because of us and our climate change. At the rate the Arctic is melting, most, if not all, the glacier ice will melt by the year 2100. This will kill tens of thousands of animals, as well as raise the sea level by an extremely large amount. This will result in receding shorelines, the loss of the Gulf Stream, and the depletion of habitat. This and more, all the result of us.
Now, do you think there's any solutions for the climate change?
Why, Rachel? There are. There are a couple things that we could do. To begin with, we can work our way into the elimination of burning of fossil fuels. We could do this by using wind and solar energy. We could really only drive on electric cars, and solar panels would have to, provide energy for every single house. In the end, it could make a big difference. Also, some green energy companies that you can find on Cape Cod and Bourne are Katuit Solar, LCC, and Cape Cod Green Energy.
That's great. Now, I heard you went out on the streets and asked Americans what they think about climate change.
Why, yes, I did. And let's go over to Hello, I'm Logan Hawks from Good Morning Science, and may I ask your opinion on climate change?
Well, it's definitely a problem because climate is warming up, but there's definitely more important problems like wars and many other things.
Thank you for your time. Hello, I'm Logan Hawks from Good Morning Science, and I want to ask you about climate change. Can I get your name?
My name is Madison Fleur.
All right, now, can you please get your opinion on climate change?
Well, I definitely think it's a problem.
What do you think about it? Do you think that it's a real thing that's happening?
It's definitely a real thing that's happening. Okay. There's definitely...
Do you think that we have ways to stop it?
Of course.
What would you believe one of these ways could be?
Well, I mean, less pollution would definitely be one of the ways to stop it.
That's a great idea. Thank you for your information.
Our conservation scientist, Maria Mendez, is not able to make it to film, but she has submitted a statement. She says, "We all prefer to go for a drive around town instead of walking or going for a bike ride. but that's not the smartest thing to do. Transportation has caused many problems in the environment. 15% of global CO2 comes from transportation, and if these levels keep rising, our Earth will be too hot to live on. Another problem Earth is forced to face is deforestation. 20 to 25% of Earth's carbon dioxide comes from deforestation and land use. Cutting down trees and diminishing useful resources from forests affects people living in poverty because they depend on these resources. Animal life would be wiped out and oxygen levels would decrease due to the lack of plants. If oxygen levels decrease, this only means that CO2 levels are rising, warming the Earth to uncomfortable temperatures. One last problem that we put Earth through is industrialization. Industrialization, as we all know, is very bad for the environment. 15% of Earth's CO2 comes from industry, and 12% of the U.S.'s greenhouse gases come from it also, causing climate change. To conserve these resources, instead of going for a drive to the beach on a hot summer day, consider riding your bike or walking there. Nowadays, there are cars that don't even run on gas, although they are very expensive. We will see how this works out in the future. If you're going to the beach, it's probably a beautiful day to ride your bike or walk with a friend anyway. To decrease deforestation, we have to nurture our land and make sure it stays healthy. A part of this process is making sure that trees are alive and giving off oxygen. We can't do this alone, though. We must encourage markets and corporations to stop harming our forests and save them. The last way to conserve our resources is to reduce industry as much as possible. Of course, industry has been a part of our lives for a very long time, but if we try to lower the amount of industrialization, we will be saving Earth for a brighter future. It's difficult to stop industry since it happens everywhere, but lowering the amount of fossil fuels and limiting the amount of packaging will slowly but surely sustain our resources. We'd like to thank Maria for doing this. We know it's something she's been working on for a while now. Now to wrap up the show, we have Sean DiCarlo. He's currently out on a research trip, but we were able to get a camera crew out to him today.
Hello, Rachel. I'm so excited we're airing this story today. I've been working on it for so long now. I'm here to talk to you about the climate change affecting the environment and what humans have to do with it. There's an overpopulation and our supplies are running short, as Maria explained. Motor vehicle exhaust and the factory industries are the number one pollutants. Right now, forests cover 30% of our land. In Panama, due to a growing population, there's an increase in demand for supplies. Trees are being cut down, and the massive produce of resources and plastics are creating a global crisis of waste disposal. Human activity is leading to the extinction of species and habitats. Air pollution affects the environment and all who inhabit it. Fertilizer runoff and oil spills all damage fragile ecosystems. There are 3.5 million deaths every year from household pollution and 3.3 million deaths every year due to outside pollution. Large landfills, waste from food processing industries, and nuclear waste generated from nuclear reactors are depleting our soil. All this pollution builds up and creates greenhouse gases that fill our atmosphere. Most pollution is caused by humans producing ice and burning fuels.
I have two questions. One, how does this affect the animals? And two, what can we do to change this?
Well, think about a mountain. At the top of our mountains, we have a colder environment. At the bottom, we have a warmer environment. The animals at the bottom of the mountain are used to the temperature. Same goes for the animals at the top. Once the temperatures start changing, the animals move up the mountain. The animals moving up the mountain are adapting to these new temperatures. As they move up, some animals will be superior to the others and boot them out of their zones. We are trying to change the way the wildlife is to better ourselves, but it isn't helping the environment. We need to stop burning fuels and get our pollution to a minimum. We are destroying our wildlife, which is depleting our ecosystem. It is to help stop this, you can be energy efficient and unplug your device when you're done with it. Also, you can buy locally grown organic foods. Try to travel on airplanes less because they leave a huge carbon footprint. Keep your stuff out of landfills and recycle paper. Plastic, glass, and metal. Use the least energy that you can to stop climate change. Ask your utility to switch to renewable power. Or, to sum it up, as you know, we are all using too much energy and it is impacting the ecosystem and the climate.
Why don't you try that one again?
Okay.
Try that one again. I have 2 questions.
I have 2 questions. 1, how does this affect the animals? And 2, what can we do to change this? And then, thank you so much, Sean. I'll call my utility tonight. We can also just simply recycle. Today we learned as humans we need to make some big changes. What we're doing now is changing our climate big time. This is mainly due to the production of greenhouse gases filling up our atmosphere. So let's change this now. Solar panels on every house, electric cars rolling down the street, conserving our resources. Let's go change the world for a better future. Thank you for tuning into Channel 14 for Good Morning Science.
Okay.